Hello everybody, and today I'll be showing you guys an in-depth view of every single launch vehicle among Aerospace. So, starting off small here, we have AO1, which stands for, if you've been curious, Atmospheric Observer. I have planned on making an AO2, that would be slightly larger, but I will have to see where I decide on that. Now, in terms of the rocket itself, it's very small. If I were to remove these parts, it is only a height of 15.3 meters, which, you know, that's fine for a sounding rocket. Now, it's a very simple design. I mean, obviously it is a sounding rocket, so what can you ask for? I'll just give you guys one more good look of the first and second stage together. Okay, and now separating the first stage from the second stage. You can see there, it's what the second stage looks like. It's quite small. It doesn't really need that much more kick because the first stage does most of the heavy lifting. That has been AO1. Now, next up we have Skykon 1, the original rocket that we've all seen. Unfortunately now, this rocket will only be flying one more time, sometime in the near future. Really, we just don't have a need for it, just considering that we have Skykon R, and we have Skykon H, Skykon HX, etc. And as a matter of fact, we have made Skykon E to replace Skykon 1, so unfortunately Skykon 1 won't be seeing that many flights ahead of itself. Now, I'm going to remove the shroud from the launch pad, and you can see here that there has been a small renovation. As you can see, we have, it looks like 3, but in reality it's 4. 4 engines in the first stage. I'll give you guys one good look at that. And then we're going to go ahead and take away the separator and pull away the first stage. As you can see here, there is the second stage in all of its simplicity. Take away the fairing there. Just a simple payload, nothing crazy. Fun fact about this second stage, it was actually quite a pain to come up with this engine nozzle, because obviously this is whenever I was relatively new to BP editing. I mean, of course, I have this amazing mod right here that lets me just adjust things on the fly without having to go into my files, which I was very thankful for. But I was having to figure out the geometry of every single one of these parts here for the engine nozzle, and it was quite intimidating. But eventually I got the hang of it, and this is the result here. So that's been Skykon 1. Now, moving away from Skykon 1, we have Skykon E. As I said previously, it is going to be Skykon 1's replacement. Skykon E was really... I don't know if you guys can already see this, but I was heavily inspired by the Terran 1 launch vehicle from Relativity Space. I just really love that thing. It looks so pretty. So that's kind of what I was going for here. Obviously, there's differences here and there, but this design at the aft section definitely resembles that of of Terran 1. I'll put up a picture like here or something. Yeah, there you go. Now, here is the launch vehicle along with its launch pad. There you go. And now, moving away from the first stage, we have the second stage here that... Oh man, I forgot how much I put into that engine. Huh. Yeah, it's a very complex engine there. So this is the second stage of Skykon E. I'll go ahead and remove this payload fairing for you. Nice little, just simple satellite that I just threw together in a few seconds. And there is the second stage. That has been Skykon E. Next up, we have Skykon R, arguably one of the workhorses of the program. I would say the main workhorse is probably Skykon H. It's flown the most, and really it seems the most reliable out of any of these guys. But really, I just adore Skykon R. I think it looks so nice, especially with the landing legs at the bottom, man. Oh, I love this thing. So here's a full view of it. First stage is relatively simple, and you can see there it's got pretty much the same ergonomics in terms of the first stage as Skykon 1 there. Because whenever I was redesigning Skykon 1, not heavily, just slightly, I had first started with Skykon R, and I pretty much just transferred that design to Skykon 1, so yeah, it was pretty much just a copy and paste. Now, moving away from the first stage, we're gonna go to the second stage. It's really it's practically just Skykon 1, but with landing legs. There's really not much different about it. I'll show you the payload in there. And then there's the second stage. Okay, and that has been Skykon R. Now, the one that you all adore, I'd imagine, is Skykon H. Arguably the main workhorse of the whole program. Now, the launch pad has gone through many iterations. It started off as just kind of a bland, just plain slate, and then it became what it is now, where there's a decent amount of detail put into it. I mean, obviously I didn't go overboard, but it's there. There's the full view of the rocket. Now, I'm going to focus on the first stage here for a minute. So, under initial designing processes, this first stage was a real pain to throw together. It just was not cooperating as I thought it would. Grid fins actually weren't that difficult to make. But the first stage was a daunting task. Now, moving away from the first stage, we have the second stage here, which, again, relatively simple. Second stage has gone through a few iterations. That's for sure. If you look through the videos of Skykon H, you can definitely see how this section in particular has changed. Along with the engine plumes, there's going to be I can tell you this, the next flight is going to be a Skykon H flight, so be looking out for that. It will be coming out relatively soon. Payload section. There's one final look at the second stage. Alrighty, and that has been Skykon H. We're getting close to the end here. Now we have Skykon HX, which previously was the most powerful launch vehicle, but obviously now we have Skykon X, which we'll get to very shortly. So, Skykon HX was interesting. It was a very interesting design process, mainly because of the fact that I wanted to keep the look of Skykon H, but I wanted to add in differences and obviously make it bigger. So, really, I would say the main difference between this and Skykon H really would be... Actually, there is not much different about it, huh? Huh. Yeah, it's really just Skykon H, but bigger. I'm not complaining. Here's the full look at the launch vehicle there. Alright, now let's go ahead and showcase the second stage. Second stage, I went for kind of a Arion 5 second stage kind of look. I mean, I wanted it to be a bit more rounded here rather than pointed. And really large payload fairing. And a nice little satellite. Okay, this has been Skykon HX. Now for the big guns. And here it is, Skykon X, this absolute monster of a rocket. This thing was so incredibly tedious to put together. I mean, first of all, just designing the thing was one thing, and then secondly, actually putting it together and seeing how everything would interact in the game was just really, really tedious. So, yeah, you're welcome. It's really pretty though. I am very proud of how it turned out, because I was half expecting, I had this vision in my mind, and then I thought I would try and put it together and it would just look like a lump of lard, but no, it actually looks pretty nice. I would say the most difficult part of this was simply the ship. The ship was just really weird, especially on its profile whenever it's like re-entering into the atmosphere. That was one thing that was just really hard to dial in, because I was doing flight testing with this vehicle before the video came out for this thing's first test flight. Yes, I fly all of my rockets before the actual video. It's not the very first flight ever, because then we probably would not have a very good success rate. But, yeah, this thing was just annoying, to say the least. Anyways, here's a good look of it. Okay. And if you guys looked at the website, I am aware that I said that the booster would be caught and that the ship would land. I believe I said it would land in the ocean. Yeah, that didn't happen. So instead of catching the booster, instead I have the booster fly through here and deploy landing legs, and it lands just right back in the launch mount. I admit, I kind of regret not having it caught, because it's cooler. But in terms of just redundancy for Spaceflight Simulator, I would rather have it just land, because whenever you're trying to catch it, you gotta make sure everything's lined up. And notice that upon liftoff the ship, the full rocket would kind of, what's the word for that? I'll call it a side slip. It would just side slip over, so kind of like do that upon liftoff, so it would just hit the structural beams in here that would allow for the booster to be caught. So hence I decided to just have it land back on the launch mount with these here. Now let's actually get onto the ship. So the ship was really just weird, because I had never really tried to do anything quite like it before. I haven't necessarily in Spaceflight Simulator ever tried to make a fully reusable system. It would always either be fully expendable, or it would just be a first stage reusability thing, like how I've been doing for a long time now. So doing something like this was very daunting. Especially the payload bay, just figuring out how this whole thing would work was quite the task. But that is a solid look right there of the ship, which I refer to as Sky. And if I were to show you guys the engine section, it's just kind of weird. I do really want to change the center engines, because they do not have that much thrust, and whenever you're trying to do the landing burn / flip maneuver, it really doesn't work out that well. So yeah, I'm gonna have to figure out something to do for that. I'll host a poll showcasing different engines, and I'll let you guys decide what I should do. But this has been an in-depth view of every single rocket among the Skykon lineup. I hope you guys enjoyed this little video. It's different from what I usually post. So yeah, that has been, and I just said that. Yeah. Man, my mind is not really put together right now, huh? Okay, well, that's enough yapping for now. So, have a nice day, y'all.